The market cap.
Recording is on.
Cool. Welcome everyone to the April 1st, 2021 DXdao community recap call. I forgot it was April 1st. I saw there were some April 1st jokes in all across Twitter and also in the Keybase chat. And some of them are hard to tell if they're real, and some of them are hard to tell if they're fake. So everything we talk about today should be 100% real, so as to not confuse people. We're going to run through the product squad weekly recaps, and then the additional squad weekly recaps like governance, biz dev. And then at the end, I added also a marketing and communications recap, which we haven't been doing, which hopefully Keenan can give a little update on. And then also including DX Ventures. I thought I had treasury management on there. Yeah, and treasury management as well, if maybe we'll touch on. So we'll start off with Omen, if Geronimo wants to give an update. We've been doing a lot.
Yeah, we finally released version 1.2.5, mainly the DXdao tight integration. This means that Ethereum mainnet users can enjoy using Omen and using like a scalable network behind the hood, and this network is called DXdao. With that, we needed to introduce like a lot of design changes to make it to improve the user experience and make sure that the whole deposit and withdrawing of funds is seamless and safe. And yeah, we are making good progress on the guild front. Augusto is pretty fine, like making sure that we have like a first version for the guilds pretty soon in testing, I hope. And that's mainly it. Any questions?
Cool. Let's jump to Swapper, Martin or Nico.
Mesa? Swapper?
This is Sky's April Fool's joke.
Oh.
He's swappering the product names.
Sorry, I did change them around, but now I have them different in two different places. So let's start with Mesa, actually. Yeah, next Mesa. Sorry.
Cool. It looks like Martin is not here, right? Then I can take over today.
Cool.
Or am I? Yeah. So I keep it short for Mesa. Like there's basically a lot of development going on every front. We're making some progress on the front end. Adam made some great progress on the subgraph and also on the smart contracts, where we probably start some first smart contract reviews next week on. So that's going on. And other than that, what also happened is that we made a decision on renaming the Easy Auction name to Fair Sale. So we had this Easy Auction name as a working title, which was the original name from Gnosis. And we had this survey of finding a new name in the last 3 days. And yesterday I made the decision to call it Fair Sale, Mesa Fair Sale from now on. What we will launch it from. That's it from the Mesa team. Any questions?
So, as I remember, there will be different ways to do sales with Mesa, right?
Exactly.
And
yep.
Is that one of the ways to make?
Yep, exactly. Like so the idea is that within Mesa you can use different templates that can be different sales mechanisms, and one of them will be the fair sale, which is kind of like an auctioning mechanism. In the first MVP version, we will offer this fair sale mechanism, and a fixed price auction that is widely known.
So the main mother product is Misa, and then Fair Sale is what do we call it? What do you call it? A plugin or?
So we have templates that bundle different actions, and we have action itself. So templates, actions. Yep.
Okay. So the full name would be Misa Fair Sale or just Fair Sale?
Probably Misa Fair Sale.
That's cool.
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting observation. I guess that imply like if the auction mechanism, we didn't like everyone's using the term auction and fair sale, which is what that type of method seems to accomplish. Is the fairest way that we think a project can sell tokens to like the public. There will be other options like a fixed price sale or maybe like some other type of sale, but I guess that kind of implies like I guess it implies that a fixed price sale is not fair, but I think it's a different kind of mechanism, but.
So the interesting thing here is Fair Sale can be updated, right? So you can call it Fair Sale V2, or there could be a community version of it that someone forked and edited, right? So that would be a template that still will be on Misa, hopefully. That would be cool.
Yeah. Cool. Let's move to Swapper. So even though Zet, you are back, is Venki? Maybe Venki, you want to give an update?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, we are ready with our releases, Alpha 5, and that has the network switcher changes there. And also, we made a few changes to the DXdao. So, yeah, I think it is out with the release, and we will we make a alchemy proposal, and I think we will be ready in production. Apart from that, I think we added liquidity to Swapper on 4 different pairs. We also tested a lot on farming. 2 more iterations of testing is done, and Federico is fixing a couple of bugs right now. I think farming will be ready by mid next week, I guess. And then it'll be, we'll make a release in GitHub and then see if we get some feedback from the community. That's all that I had.
Yeah, and with this latest release too, there's a couple of updates to the eco routing. So like on DXdao, BAO swap is being added, which I think is pretty cool because the BAO swap has $22 million worth of liquidity, which is actually like twice as much as HoneySwap and the biggest source of liquidity on DXdao. And also their UI is like, I would say, not the best in some ways. So I think with this update, with this latest release, like without a doubt, like Swapper will be the best place to do trading on DXdao, at least in my opinion. And then the other cool thing, which we kind of late breaking realized here, is with this like eco routing feature, right, we're like accessing liquidity from other Uniswap forks. So on DXdao, for example, you have HoneySwap, BAOSwap, and Swapper. Some people maybe aren't even aware of this feature in Uniswap, but like when you are hopping across multiple pairs, like for instance, if you wanted to trade DXD for DAI, but there was only a DXD ETH pair and an ETH DAI pair, the front end will help you route through both of those pairs to go from DXD to DAI. But in order to actually like know to do that routing, the front ends, like the Uniswap UI and any of these forks, they have a whitelist of which like base pairs they will actually route through. And so like with this latest release, Swapper will be adding all of the base pairs from the other exchanges that it's like kind of pulling in and aggregating. So for example, on XDAI, Swapper will use BAO, the token, as a base pair, Honey, Agave, WB, and then like some that we're adding as well, like WBTC and other things that they're not. So like that will just go to reinforce that like Swapper will be the best place to trade on XDAI at least, and maybe even on mainnet.
Sweet, yeah. So the echo routing is a really unique feature, and as Joe mentioned, it's pretty exciting because most people are used to aggregators, but it's different than an aggregator, and it's really creating the best user experience in like a super fair, free way for someone trading on Swapper, and that actually then gives DXdao like as we integrate more and more other exchanges such as HoneySwap or BaoSwap or new ones that will come, and then this can also work on mainnet. It gives like these other communities and ecosystems a reason to like interact and do more with the DXdao community and its product. So it's actually like a great like olive branch when you're sending free traffic and free awesome user traffic to other sites, there's incentive for them to like work with you and build things that help you as well. So I think that's pretty cool. So next we can jump to governance. Like I consider added governance as a product. So I don't know if Augusto, if you want to give any update this week on DX Vote or related.
Hola, Sky. No, actually, I don't have anything because I was working on the Omen Guild. I was working on some contribution guidelines, issues, template issues, and pull request templates for the DX Vote. And the idea is to create like a contribution guidelines and procedure to set up an open source community around DX Vote where I can start collaborating there with the help of other users that are going to be testing, and also have all the documents and all the documentation available for anyone in DX Vote that wants to contribute and add new features or add new stuff on DX Vote. But actually, no, I didn't have time to do anything else more than that.
Cool. And then next product so I think it turns out that Rails is, at least at this point in time, moving into the same place that Mix is. And I don't know what the development word for that is, but when you have a product and then
it's called the Icebox.
The Icebox, okay.
Things that are cool ideas, but not being worked on.
Even if it was a functioning product at one point, you didn't move it into the Icebox?
No, Icebox is more from Scrum. Like when you have things you want to work on, you put it in the Icebox if you're not planning to work on it anytime soon. But I don't know what you call the junkyard, maybe.
Yeah, I guess it's different than on the back burner, the Icebox, and so I don't know where.
Yeah, so it's not dead. You're keeping it alive. Like you could theoretically bring it back at some point. And I have a feeling that Rails will exist at some point in the future. But
is that where Aqua lives too, or is Aqua in?
Well, no, I see them different because Aqua never got going. But Rails was a real thing, and it can take a pivot, and it still sits there in the DXdao Icebox. So
yeah, Aqua is proper vaporware.
Aqua hasn't taken form yet, but it's waiting for the right time.
Maybe we need to launch token for Aqua and then figure out what it is.
Oh, that could be a new step. We're launching a token that doesn't even have a product defined yet.
So
you launch a governance token, and then the token holders decide what the product will be.
So that's effectively
so meta.
And Aqua can take any form. It could take the form of its container.
Exactly.
Its community.
Yeah, it's a SPAC actually. Dave is right.
That's what meme token was initially, and now it's a giant market cap NFT related community. So maybe Aqua could be DXdAo's NFT governance token. So let's throw that idea around. We can start with this meme NFT behind me.
Yeah, I mean, if we had Aqua, one of the barrels would be just water.
Yeah. Sweet. So next we'll jump to the other squad weekly recaps. We'll start with governance. Chris, if you want to give a recap.
Sure. So lots of proposals. I think we're kind of now fully in the multi-chain governance. So we had, I think, there's 6 proposals on mainnet and 19 on XDAI. So kind of going through those is managing that. To highlight some of on mainnet, there is a halt the bonding curve proposal that is slated to be boosted in like, I think 2 or 3 hours there. And so that would be a pretty big change, of course, to DXD, kind of moving it into a fixed supply, and then governance would have to figure out something else if it wanted to change something with that. And then a bunch of different worker proposals, and the other kind of in governance on XDAI is we're figuring out the process for adding liquidity to Swapper. So I know John is working on like a demo to this, but we basically completed the first we've submitted the proposals for the first large deposit into Swapper across 4 pairs. And so there's already, I think, $300,000 worth of DXdao liquidity in Swapper on XDAI, just in the WETH XDAI pair. And then now we are looking to add liquidity in 3 additional pairs. And each time we add liquidity, we actually need 2 separate proposals. One to the funding proposal, which actually sends the funds to the liquidity relayer, and then a multi-call scheme proposal, which actually adds the liquidity to Swapper. So a small plug right now, in terms of a link I just shared in the general chat of both Discord and Keybase, is one of the pair liquidity proposals. The order is not perfectly aligned. So the add liquidity proposal is slated to pass before the funding proposal hits. So if we do that, then the add liquidity proposal won't actually have anything to add because the funds won't be there. So if you have rep on XDAI, I'll actually paste it here. Please vote for this proposal so we can get an absolute majority, so that this funding proposal will pass, and then the add liquidity proposals will go through. It was really exciting. We actually did this last week for 2 separate proposals for House. The House token was launched, I guess, just this Monday, and it's launched on XDAI, so they have a HoneySwap pool, but there were some people interested in having a high fee pool on Swapper. So Sky led the effort to get 2 proposals. One to change the fee for the House WETH pool, and then the other to get the House token added to the token list. And I think we got a majority vote in like 12 hours or something. So it really was I think kind of, it shows the power of the majority vote if we can move together. So yeah, hopefully this one will go through, and then we'll get another round of liquidity into Swapper, and then we now have funds in the DXdao base on XDAI that is ready for another set of proposals to deposit into Swapper. And so I think it would probably be helpful, John, if like maybe after you posting the demo, and then like other people can figure out how to add those deposits. John, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's a guide, I guess, not so much a demo, but like I've shared it with some folks here, and I'm planning to post it on DAO Talk. And it's just, there's a few kind of like gotchas in this like process of creating these proposals, a lot of little things that you can easily screw up to make them fail. So that's why I worked on a guide, and yeah, and if anybody's interested in helping me kind of just review it before posting it on DAO Talk, just send me a message or say something in Keybase.
Cool. And the reason that these proposals are not perfectly timed is because we're not completely attuned to how the boosting process works. We had a nice lesson of this yesterday on the governance call. If you're interested, like, please follow up. It will help you calculate the right amount of gen that you need to stake. The TLDR is it's based upon the number of future boosted proposals, not the number of boosted proposals when you stake gen. Just a couple other updates on governance discussion yesterday. Melanie gave a brief update on some of the efforts that HR has been working on in terms of tracking payments better, tracking worker proposals, and kind of easing that process along. And so hopefully that will be a way all contributors that process will be a little bit smoother, and we'll understand where we're missing areas. There is a new multi-call scheme installation post by Nico up. So this is would be a new scheme that would actually have like 3 different tracks for the multi-call. One would be a 3-day track that would primarily be used for ENS adjustments. The other would be an 8-day track, which would have a whitelist of accepted smart contracts that it can interact with, and then a third track of which would take 14 days for a boosted proposal to pass. And this would be open to basically any smart contract. The thinking being that the 14-day period should be enough time for governance to evaluate. And that's also about the same amount of time it takes now for like a new multi-call scheme to be added. And then, gas refunds update. There was just a post from Dave today on DAO Talk, so make sure and check that out. And then, the DXdao Treasury. This guy has I think it's climbing the risk ladder metaphor that he was talking about. And so I think we're getting to the point where we're looking to diversify, to expand what we're doing with the Treasury in a couple of different areas. And so that was it for the governance discussion.
Cool. One last thing on governance, which we talked about like near the end of the call, was in the multi-chain world, especially like with a governance experience on XDAI, where it's like cheap and easy and fun to do proposals, right, and vote on them and stuff. Obviously, we're seeing where there's like, I think you mentioned 17 proposals that are live, and then there's a whole bunch on mainnet as well. But especially on XDAI, like this is what holographic consensus and DAOstack's platform was built for. Anyone in the world can actually do a proposal. So like you can fill up that entire thing with hundreds of proposals. The important thing from a community perspective, and this is, anyone in the entire community watching this call, is if you do a proposal, if you have an idea, and obviously there's the process of starting in the forums and the chats and then leading to a proposal. But when you do make a proposal for a worker proposal or an idea or an action or whatever it is, it's really important to communicate that proposal to the community in order to make them aware of it. Hopefully someone has focused on it and boosts it and brings the regular proposal to a boosted proposal, because without that, we're gonna end up at one point with 50 or 100 proposals just sitting there regular, and it's really hard for people on their own to determine which proposals are the ones that should be boosted and filtered. And so the human outreach to the community and to other members of the community is important to, like, in the process of filtering the important proposals up. So I think it's just going to keep growing and growing. So it's important to remember that.
And sometimes you have to lobby people to get your proposal passed. It's not just like a submit the proposal and then, go. So either it's, you need people to vote on it, you need people to boost it. So just kind of flag that and people can evaluate it.
Yeah. Cool. Let's jump to marketing and communications. Keenan, if you want to give a quick update.
Yeah, I got a handful of things. The Swapper AMA, I ran the review by Venki and Chris. It has a couple more things to take care of, but it's pretty much ready to go. The review, that is. And I spoke with Zet yesterday, and we're going to maybe clean up the graphic a little bit so it doesn't quite look like a announcement for an event anymore. We also took the first quarter of the Discord rep snapshots, made a little document, and I will be chatting with Chris, I believe, to fit those in to the next rep boost, community rep boost. We also published the meme competition winners. We indicated DXdao support of EIP 1559. We had a handful of tweet threads grow up since the last meeting, if I recall, including the WETH XDAI pool informer. And if I'm correct, Machina is working on a tight XDAI integration for Omen thread as well. We had the DX Ventures announcement. I think we might have slipped that into the last week, though, the last informer. We collected information for the month in review. I probably haggled you yesterday if you were a lead, because the holiday slipped up on me late last evening. So we are going to be writing that today, hoping to get it today, but I can work tomorrow and get it pushed out if it makes sense to do that. Sky and Machina worked on a draft for the Omen landing page format, and we're still looking for potential teams. We have a couple lined up. We created a focus group to give feedback to Anshkasa, and we're expecting an update from them. They did say Friday, but I think they might have not known it was a holiday as well when we had last spoke. So I am anticipating early next week. We had some coordination with the Vietnamese marketing team Bitcoin, and they have been invited to Monday's BizDev call to give a little more insight on their program. We also added a new partners and collaborations category to Discord. Anyone BizDev oriented will have access to. It'll allow other projects to come to us as like ambassadors, and instead of having these small groups, we can have larger focus groups, which I think will be nice. We've already reached out to OneHive and Bao. And last but not least, the documentation book got a new IPFS build. It's nearly done, and this doesn't include the text, mostly formatting and other issues. But most of the content that is missing from that page has already been worked on in the most recent PR. So we're pretty damn close. And yeah, that's all for me.
Awesome. Thanks, Keenan. Anyone have any questions or comments about marketing? Cool. So I added a new section, treasury management, which we historically have been including kind of in governance in general. Dave, who is taking over the lead of like managing and coordinating and gathering information around treasury management, and maybe eventually ingesting and giving feedback on strategies that people propose and stuff. I'm not expecting, Dave, if you have anything you want to update on what you're working on, that'd be great. Otherwise, we'll just keep this as a placeholder to, as treasury management becomes more and more important going forward, we will touch on it across for for this call for the greater community to be aware of what is happening from the Treasury's perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nothing really to add. I think Chris already covered most of it. So just backlogging all the accounting and flows that hasn't been done for now. And on next week's Thursday call, I believe, we'll be giving a bit of an overview of what I've done up to now and kind of future things I'll be doing as well.
Great. Yeah, and eventually having this place that people can come and anyone in the community and see where the funds and what the funds are doing that DXdao manages all in one spot. That's something that is very hard to see in general in the blockchain space, in the Ethereum space, and even in the DXdao treasury. It's almost like a more advanced DAO version of Zapperify or something like that, where people can see it in live time eventually. So that's a product that almost all DAOs will need. So if we build that product for ourselves, I think that's something that the DAO space will need. So that's potentially a DX Ventures opportunity too. Which leads us into DX Ventures as the last kind of squad recap. DX Ventures doesn't necessarily have a dedicated team. It's kind of a mishmash of a bunch of people that are interested in DX Venture ideas. But we have, at least a couple different prospective investments that we are discussing. We've been discussing for the last few weeks. Oh, biz dev. my list got all messed up. Let's do DX Ventures. Let me just finish Ventures first. There's a couple, DX Venture, there's going to be lots of ideas that float around in related to the DX Ventures world, and having a process in place to get to filter the more important ones to the top, to then get the community to take an opinion on those, learn what needs to be learned, and then eventually lead to action where there is a overall DAO proposal for a potential investment. And then if that passes, the next step would be, I think it looks more like a proposal by the actual entity that's being invested in, proposing to the DAO for the funding, and then the DAO actually approving that actual movement of funds for that type of investment. So there's two that we're talking about right now. We have to figure out how to get consensus on that, and make sure that the entire DAO community is aware of all the important pieces of information related to that DX Venture investment, and then that's when the next two proposal process would happen. So we have a little bit of work to do to push those along, but we will we'll keep going with that. And so sorry about that, Nalan. If you want to give a update from the biz dev call for Monday, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I think it was actually mostly covered by the others here. I think a large section was a discussion about DX Ventures, actually. Some feedback from Chris that was in the group, which kind of concludes that our check sizes will be between 50 to 100K. And we did have a discussion about DXdao and Opolis. There was an agreement that there will be, I guess, focus groups for each one, which will issue a report or some sort of summary, and then the DXdao will be able to decide. There was that. Martin came up with an idea for deploying a curve on XDAI. They have, I don't know, no need to expand on this right now, but they're doing like a franchise where they allow different teams to deploy curve on different chains. So that could be interesting. And we had a discussion about Treasury, which was also sort of discussed on the call already. What started sort of as DX degen is now maybe DX yield or something like that. And then there's this Sky proposal where I'm not sure how you called it, but like steps in degeneracy, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, to use and utilize the DXdao treasure. So that was it.
Great. So that's all the recaps. If anyone has any other topics they'd like to raise or questions for the group, please do so now. Yeah, so Martin in the chat mentioned Ellipsis on Binance Smart Chain. So that is another team that has deployed a curve-like protocol on BCS, and is curve has some connection to it, or is totally separate? Does anyone know?
They have their blessing because they are airdropping whatever their token is, Ellipsis token, to the VE curve CRV holders, the people that have their curve locked up in to curve governance, those addresses are receiving an airdrop of, I think, 25% of the token supply or something like that. And so that's like the blessing that Curve has for that.
And but if they didn't do that airdrop, would it be a problem for Curve?
They also get the support from Curve. I don't know, it's not very public. I have to research about this. Because if we going to propose something or ask, then we have to know what's the deal with ellipsis. But I didn't have time to look at this. But they have like the support of Curve. You know, if they have like problems or so, Curve will help them. So it's in a way it's closer than, because you know we have like this also, if Swerve had was like a unofficial fork of Curve, and they had some problem, and mainly because in Curve pools you have like a parameter, it's called A. I don't know how it works, but it's somehow a very you know, it's sensitive in a way. How you have to change. Sometimes they change it for certain pool, and I guess it depends on the size on the pool. And Swerve, I think, had like a case where they were not able to set it right, and then they got into problems. And yes, I don't know how it's a little bit. I didn't have like a lot of connection to the Curve community the last few months or so maybe I have to dig in and see.
So I think this is particularly relevant for Curve, like as opposed to like forking Uniswap, because Curve has like copyrighted their smart contract code. Like they don't have a permissive license.
Yeah, but I see another. You know, I don't know how the market is on DXdao, but in a way, I guess some target platform will have competing version of DAI. You know, I know I did see on BSC there are different DAI version which comes maybe over different bridges or so. And in a way, this could be also a product on the Curve for Curve pool, because that's what Curve is made for. And I don't know how this market is going to develop, or I don't know the situation on DXdao. Are there competing bridges, and then you end up with two tokens who are in fact the same token? And
yeah, it's interesting, Martin, because I mean, I think Curve is definitely a really great product on mainnet, and it's basically about like stable swaps. But with going to sidechains layer 2, I think you bring up a really good point that there potentially are a lot of the same tokens that people want to swap to. So like that's not something that Curve necessarily has on mainnet, but that could be definitely a big market opportunity on an L2 or a sidechain as people use more and more bridges.
yes.
So from
next week I will start to research on this and see if we can make a deal, and if they are open to a deal, and then what it could be. And I think it's not so easy, because then we need to make a token for this one, you know, otherwise we can't make an airdrop. So we have to manage like another token, and how does it fit with our what we are now? Because then in a way it's strange. So yeah, it's not strange, but it's a bit odd in a way.
So from a DXdao perspective, what would this scenario look like? And this scenario could then be applied to any different protocols, but you know, DXdao has done this with like internally with, say, for example, Swapper and and some other products. But if there is this idea to have a Curve type style protocol on XDAI, and DXdao would like to run and own that protocol, is like would the first step be to, like, the resources are limited, right? So would it be for like DXdao to seek out a team of people that could implement that and be funded by DXdao in order to do that? Would it be to like take this, you know, work with this other team that's doing it on BCS and try to get them to also do it on XDAO. But then if they did that, how does DXdao get ownership of this product unless DXdao does it itself or funds the team and brings in the team that will actually do that type of deployment? Because like DXdao and like lots of people have probably had this idea, like, yeah, there should be a curve on XDAO, but how does DXdao move forward in a quick, efficient way in order to like capture that new protocol? Because if that works and that model was effective, DXdao could replicate that and do that across lots of different types of protocols.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, we can just like.
I guess first move would just ask if there's any possibility that we can do that, and if not, then yeah, then it's dead in the water.
Ask who though, Martin?
Curve.
But ask Curve if we could if DXdao could put Curve on XDAO, but then like who's gonna do it is the question. That's
the question. Yeah, but I think this is the question we can talk about if there's some, if we see they are open to this kind of possibilities, and if not, then
yeah, just comparing to like
but it's not so easy in a way, you know. You see Opolis, they did their own, they use like curve system for one pool, but the governance of their token is like done independent, or they have like their own farming system now. It's not like they copied the whole curve. They only use the pool. So yeah, it was just an idea, and maybe, you know, we will see if there's any openness from Curve, but maybe as some ideas sometimes are, then you see execution needs much more resources, and then we will see what we do, you know. It's just maybe we can also ask a this team, but in a way then doesn't make sense, you know, then they could make it for themselves. So
exactly. So just to compare to the One Hive community, who seems to be doing this, right? So rather than like, there's not like a One Hive DAO. Well, it's more of a One Hive community than a One Hive DAO, which is just this like loose organism of people. And so there was a team of people who basically said, we're gonna put an Aave on XDAO, right? And that is, they created and have launched a token now for Agave, which is a lending protocol on XDAO. It's not live yet, hasn't been built yet. It's probably being built, but that team could have done that on their own. Like if there's 3 people that decide that's what they wanted to do, they could have just done that. So the difference here is that they did it as part of the One Hive community, because when you do it as part of a larger community that's already got a big ecosystem, there's a lot of advantages, right? You have the support of the community, you have like financial support, you have, they did token, like a lot of the same token holders hold Honey and an Agave now. And so there's the benefits of like doing a new protocol on XDAO as part of a community. And so I think DXdao is a little more like, not closed, but an established, like the DAO is actually like a formalized DAO. And so it would take someone from like the greater DXdao, DXD holder community to say, we would like to do, you know, a Curve protocol on XDAO. And the reason we want to do it under the DXdao umbrella is because of all the benefits of the community and the resources that DXdao can provide in addition to that. And so we want to set up the future so that people would want to do these things like on their own, but as part of the DXdao community. And then the question is, how do you give ownership to DXdao? That's the difference, is who actually owns the actual product. So that's kind of what needs to be figured out. But if we set up an ecosystem so that people have ideas and want to do it within the DXdao community, even though they're the ones running with it, that's a win-win for everyone, I think. But I don't know.
I mean, why not do the similar thing as the BSC team did, just drop 30% to all locked CRV holders, and 70%, like 70% will just be go to the DXdao, and then we will see.
Yeah, but who? I guess Trauma. Like who's gonna do this?
That's the main question, yeah. But like at the end of the day, it would basically just mean deploy the contracts, deploy the front ends, and then like do the airdrop, right? It sounds like a small thing. I know it's like a little bit more work, but it could be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
so. Again,
in general, like I think DXdao is like forming a strong position in XDAI, right? Like we have almost more than $1 million on XDAI, right? We can move that around. We have products, we have people that can kind of build things, and I think we're going to hopefully recreate this on other chains. So I think there's just like a big opportunity to partner with projects, developers, people that are like looking to launch on a chain, launch a new product on a chain, because it just like DXdao just has a lot to offer. So I'm not sure if it'll work out for this one specifically with Curve on XDAI, but like I think this is something that we could recreate going forward. 2 billion TLV? Martin, that seems a little high.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
they got this one of the fastest growing.
Wow.
I can have a look. Yeah, and Llama, they're on DeFi Llama, I think.
Yeah, and like just to see it clearly, there's no stable to stablecoin protocol on XDAI, so there is a gap. Like there is a utility in there, right? Like we could use we could use Swapper, lower the fee, but the curve is still like too much. I think having like a curve style curve, and then like a scalable network could mean there will be a lot of like stablecoin routing through the fork.
Yeah, so I guess in the meantime, until there's a curve style protocol on XDAI, we could focus on some stable coin pools by lowering the fee on our swapper pools and become the main place that people trade XDAI to USDC, which is a temporary solution.
We should do a proposal for that, because we're supplying. We have a very, very small USDC WXDAI pool now, but there's a proposal to put I think like 50K in there, and yeah, we should like lower that. Just because it'd also be good to like try out lowering fees, because I know we raised the fee on the house pair.
Yeah. Cool. All right, I think that's everything for today's call. If anyone has any last thoughts for April 1st, April Fool's Day. Jokes, anyone?
DXdao on Binance.
That's not a joke. Just when?
I've deployed the DXdao clone on the BSC, and you're all members of it. So
we're stuck.
Now you're supporting CZ in a centralized chain.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right, guys. Bye-bye. Stop falling for the April Fool's joke.